All right, we are back. Peanut Gallery. What is WrestleMania looking like?
I don't know. That's a good question. A few weeks ago, it was pretty evident that there was a scenario in which either in which either Cody Rhodes or CM Punk was going to win the Rumble, with the other one winning Elimination Chamber to have the match at Mania, where Punk would face Rollins and Cody would face Reigns.
Right.
But a couple of things are happening that kind of muddy the waters a little bit.
Now, luckily, they did ratify this modification essentially with basically taking AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight out of the Rumble completely.
Right. But there are other players that are coming into play now. And we have to talk about the most notable figure being The Rock, who obviously is returning with the intention of challenging at some point in time Roman Reigns for control of the bloodline.
To what I am hearing, that's going to be the match for Elimination Chamber with Reigns.
I've heard opposite stories.
Now, you see, I think that would be the best place for The Rock and Reigns, because this is going to be a brand new market, and they had to have some sort of marquee, like Roman Reigns and Logan Paul when they went back to Saudi Arabia.
Right. However, I don't really know what I mean, what if The Rock wins? Because obviously it's a scenario in which The Rock might have to win this match, and if it's for the title, that's going to mess things up. So I really don't know what their intention is. If this match is going to if this match is going to be a WrestleMania, then The Rock has to win. If Elimination Chamber is the destination for this match, you can have Reigns win, and it would not be that big of a deal. And there could also be a scenario in which the WWE Universal Champion is decided within the Elimination Chamber, and then someone other than Roman Reigns wins that match. But we just don't know who that. We just don't know what.
I hope that's not the scenario, because that would be such a disappointing way of ending Roman Reigns' reign.
But it's such a. I don't know how to explain it, because it really does muddy the waters a little bit. We thought that we had this in the bag. We thought that we knew exactly what a WrestleMania.
Yeah, we thought Cody Rhodes should have won, and he should have.
But again, we don't know what WrestleMania's main event looks like now that The Rock is involved.
Now, if I was a betting man, I would definitely say Rock Reigns at Elimination, because they need to draw the crowd over there. But then have Reigns and Rhodes again, because it's just the most logical thing for me.
Right.
But that's just if I was a betting man. I don't know what the scenario is, but I think that's why this is as good as it is.
Right. Because now there is a monkey wrench in it. And there are so many other players that could play into this. But, I think of the biggest storylines going into Mania are going to be Cody Rhodes wanting to finish the story. Seth Rollins and CM Punk are obviously on a trajectory. That has to be the match. They're on a trajectory at some point in time to have a match. And The Rock obviously is there to meddle around in the affairs of Roman Reigns and company.
Right.
And the thing, too, is that we don't have to look at just WrestleMania. We can look after WrestleMania as well. But with all the rumors that Roman Reigns is leaving after WrestleMania, then we have to take into account the fact that the main event could be a little more complicated than what we have initially thought.
I understand, but the thing is that it's hard to look past WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is the stop.
Right.
They start with fresh new stuff after Mania usually.
Yeah.
So this is why the emphasis right now is between Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania.
Right.
And all the shows that are in between those three premium live events.
Right.
That's why those are the focus.
Right. And like I said, it's very muddy at this point. We just don't know what WWE's short and medium range plans are for this.
Now, when I hear muddy in this situation, it's not a negative. This is actually quite a positive, because then it's not as predictable.
Right.
What you can do with not only two world champions, but all of these people, essentially cross promotional everything, you can do a lot with it.
Right. And there are certainly other players that could insert themselves into any number of storylines. It just goes to show that.
Because remember, we have 3 months. I mean, we have at least 3 months of storytelling time, and especially with Raw 3 hours, pay-per-views, and also SmackDown 2 hours. That's a lot of time to develop something good. So they have time. I'm sure they know, but they have time to really nick this right out of the park.
Right. And what I like about it too is that this is kind of the difference between the McMahon era and the Levesque era. Like, whereas McMahon, it was a little more predictable as to what their long-term storytelling was. Levesque is kind of muddying the waters a little bit for us because, everyone knows what the end game is going to be. So let's stir the pot here a little bit and bring The Rock in for a little action here around Mania season.
Yeah, I understand that.
World champion with something other than the world champion, which honestly is something that needs to be addressed. Like, okay, well, The Rock obviously might not be as interested in the title as maybe someone like Cody would be.
Right.
So another scenario could be where Reigns pulls double duty. He loses night 1 to Cody, and then he loses night 2 to The Rock.
That's true. You can do that. And remember, we're not even considering, because right now we basically eliminated AJ, Randy, and LA from the Royal Rumble, but that's only the Royal Rumble. They could win the Elimination Chamber match, and that would be the other challenger too. So they are technically still in the picture of WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber, but they're not there with the Royal Rumble, which I think is great. Right. And it's showing me something a little bit different because they obviously want to keep the baby faces incredibly strong.
Yes, because right now you have two pretty credible heels. I mean, I would not call Seth Rollins a heel per se, maybe an anti-hero, but he's obviously going up against a much more popular CM Punk at the moment in terms of the long-term story.
They're not doing anything there yet because it looks like Punk is going to have a program with McIntyre,
which is fine.
And then obviously with Rollins facing Jinder, that could be something a little more long-term because you could set that up in many of different ways and put Jinder back on there.
Someone like Jinder, obviously it wasn't planned, but Jinder all of a sudden became very popular in wrestling circles because
he ratioed a whole company basically into oblivion, into a laughing stock. Now people don't even like Tony Khan. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and I heard Tony Khan was also fine. But again, there's a lot that WWE is working with going into WrestleMania.
Wait, did you say he was fined?
Yeah, he was by Bryan Danielson. Because Bryan Danielson's kind of that enforcer now.
Huh.
Yeah, anyways. But
Tony Khan's the owner of the Shahid is the owner of the company.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Playing with daddy's money. Anyways, but there's a lot going into this WrestleMania that really needs to be taken into consideration now that there are I feel like there are a lot of stars in the making as well. Like
there are a lot of
like The Miz and R-Truth are quickly gaining popularity.
We have Gunther, who we haven't even considered, even though he's Intercontinental Champion. He could theoretically win the Royal Rumble and face Rollins.
Got LA Knight, of course, still on a roll, and they want to keep him strong.
He's incredibly strong. Randy Orton is pretty much in the best shape of his career and doing awesome work. AJ Styles with the pseudo heel turn and being a totally different AJ, and then once again amazing ass shape, and they're keeping him really strong.
Shinsuke Nakamura,
Jey Uso,
main event Jey Uso.
I mean,
there's a lot of star power to consider going into Mania.
Look at all of these parts and pieces. Look at what's happening.
Right.
Look at that. Like just that collection. This is just off the top of our head.
Right. We're not even considering the depth of the rosters at all.
Yeah, we're not. And we're not even thinking about maybe people from NXT.
Right. Who could make a splash. And I mean, there is just so much to consider going into WrestleMania.
And I think that's what's exciting right now.
And it, like I said, it muddied the water quite a bit when The Rock came in. So I did want to address it because it's good to not have that predictability. At the end of the day, I think that, WWE especially has been guilty of this, where things were pretty predictable, even if they were good. But now things are still good, but they're getting a little more unpredictable, I think, than we realize.
I get it. Yeah, 100%.
That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I have nothing else. I think we kind of hit that right on the head on where it's going because I have no idea. Anyway, so when we come back, we're going to be covering Hard to Kill.